Hello learners, Mr. G here, and we are going to be making a video about ionic bonding. This video is mostly for the grade 10 learners, but grade 11s may sometime have questions regarding ionic bonding. Okay, so let's go to ionic bonding. There is the periodic table because we are going to use it eventually. Okay, so let's begin by the definition of ionic bonding. So let's go to the definition and go through it. They say ionic bonding is the transfer of electron. That is the first very important matter here. It is going to be the transfer of electrons. So electrons are going to be transferred from one substance to another. Okay, now that transfer of electron have the purpose of form a cation or to form an ion. All right, the transfer of electron will form a cation or an ion, and that have different charges and therefore will attract each other. So ionic bonding is the transfer of electrons to form a cation or an ion that attract each other to form a formula unit. The result of ionic bonding will be the formula unit. Remember, the result of a covalent bonding was the molecule. Here we are talking about formula unit. So let's go by steps. Cation. What are cations? Cations are positively charged particles, positive particles made from an atom that loses electrons. So when atoms loses electrons, they give electrons away, they become an cation. A cation, and the cation have this specific form. Let's see one example. Example, sodium plus. That is an example of a cation. Another example can be magnesium 2 plus. Another example could be aluminium 3 plus. Okay, these are different examples of cations. Now, we need to learn how to write the formation of this cation using Lewis dot diagram. Okay, so remember in the Lewis dot diagrams, you have to represent the element and the number of valence electrons. So let's start from sodium. Okay, let's begin with sodium. Sodium, the formula for sodium, the element, the atom of sodium. Sodium have only one valence electron. All right. Now, if sodium loses that electron, sodium becomes an A without that electron. So it loses one electron and will gain the positive charge plus the electron. The electron is gone, it's somewhere there. Okay. For example, let's write down the valence equation to represent the formation of magnesium ion. You have magnesium, and magnesium have 2 valence electrons. So magnesium with 2 electrons, that is the Lewis dot diagram for magnesium. What happened to magnesium? Magnesium can lose 2 electrons to become magnesium. If you take away those 2 electrons, it will become magnesium 2 plus, because it does lose 2 electrons. And the 2 electrons must be represented in the equation. You cannot just throw away the electron. This is the valence chemical equation for the formation of magnesium. Let's see another example, which is the aluminium we have there. We have aluminium. The valence for aluminium is 3. If aluminium loses those 3 electrons, then it will become Al, or aluminium 3 plus, because it does loses 3 electrons. Okay, and then the 3 electrons must be represented as well. Okay, so this is the formation of the cation. Let's go to the formation of the anions. All right, so now we're going to anions. What are anions? Anions are negative particles. They are negative because they gain electrons, and when you gain electrons, when the particle gains electron, become negative because it have more negative particle than positive. Okay, for example, let's go to some examples of anions. For example, Cl minus, that is an anion, Br minus, O2 minus, okay, N3 minus. Okay, so those are particles that loses, or they gain electrons, and the more electrons they gain, the more negative they become. Now, how to represent this formation of these ion. Now, for example, let's start with chlorine. We have chlorine, which is neutral. It has 7 valence electrons. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It has 7 valence electrons. So chlorine will gain 1 electron, and it will become chlorine, but with 8 valence electrons. All right, and because it gained only 1 electron, chlorine will become Cl minus with all the electrons there. Okay, now let's see, for example, oxygen. Oxygen, the valence electron of oxygen is 6. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Oxygen can gain 2 electrons. So if we give to oxygen 2 electrons, then oxygen will not have no more 6 valence, but instead will have 8. So it will be oxygen with 8 valence electron. How many electrons did oxygen gain? 2. Therefore it will be 2 minus. So this is the formation for oxygen ion. I hope this part is clear. You see how a cation forms, and you see how an anion forms. Now, if you have the combination to form the formula unit, then they are coming together. For example, let's see how to represent the Lewis dot diagram for the formation of sodium chloride. All right, sodium chloride, that is the formula. So you have sodium, we have 1 valence electron, and that one will react with chlorine that have 7 valence electron. All right, what is going to happen? This electron that sodium has here is going to be transferred to chlorine. So on the product, the formula unit will be sodium with a positive charge because it lost that valence electron, and chlorine will have the 8 valence electron, the 1 extra from sodium, and therefore it will be negative. So this is the Lewis notation for sodium chloride. This is how to do it. All right, I hope it's clear. Next time we'll give some more examples, but this is the basis of the topic. Okay, thank you very much. I hope it's clear, and good luck.